All right. Good morning, everyone. Futures Brizio here. And just trying to set up the live stream. Just give me a second.
Futures Brizio
Oops,
here.
sorry. All right. So this is Futures Brizio. It is 11:20 a.m. on Thursday, November 20th. Figured I'd try to do a live stream here, something a little bit different. Don't do this too much. So I'm monitoring it on my other computer here. Just looks like it's okay. So if anyone joins the chat, great. If not, then this will just be I'll just post this as my mid-session update on the channel afterwards. So let's just jump right in and take a look where we're at. So as always, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. If you do jump in the chat, make sure you say hi, and happy to answer any questions. Okay, but like I said, if I didn't announce the live stream, so I'm not expecting anyone to join, but if not, this will be posted on the channel later. Okay, so let's just jump right in here. We'll start here on rice right at the top. So as I've been talking about with rice, we have this long-term support area we're coming into now. So again, between about $9.50 and $10. So from about where it is right now till down to about $9.50, this thing has been falling into. You can see it's finding some support here. I'm not saying it's going to bounce from here. This thing has been in a downtrend for months here, essentially. We started this downtrend in earnest back in May of last year. So a year and a half we've been trading to the downside in rice. So no one should be trying to pick bottoms here. But I do want to stress that it is coming into an area of interest. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not really interested in trading it short in here, but I'm certainly not trading it long. Until we start breaking some, major swing highs here, then, we really can't assume that this thing's going to go long. Now, on the higher time frame, say the 1 to 4 hour, we would need to come up and take out like a swing high like this, or maybe even this one over here, which is more like a 4-hour zone. Okay. So, but if we do start forming, higher highs and higher lows off of this support area, off this long-term support area, then that would be something. But we don't have that. I mean, here's the short time frame. There's nothing going on. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on rice because, to be honest, it's probably not going anywhere right now. I would not be at all surprised if we continue to squish further into this zone. And, we certainly could go lower. I mean, this is a very wide zone, admittedly, but that's because I drew it on the weekly chart. So we definitely could continue to see prices fall back into further down into this zone. But just be aware that, it is heading into an area that traditionally has been a support zone. Anywhere from about where it is now down to, the bottom side of this box, which on the hourly time frame is quite large, admittedly. But so let's see what happens going forward with rice. Again, if we start forming clear higher highs and higher lows in an impulsive manner, then perhaps that could be an early sign of a reversal. But we don't have that right now, okay? So I'm not going to spend a lot of time with rice right now. It's just a market that I'm watching. And again, as it comes into these major zones, that's where you have to at least be a little bit more cautious about trend continuation. Doesn't mean it can't, because there are lower prices below this zone. Certainly it could reach for, but that is how it looks right now. Okay, so on to soybeans. So this morning we had some, this is the hourly chart. No, excuse me, the 4. Let's go to the hourly chart. And we'll look at, this is about where the market opened today. We had a push up through some resistance on the hourly chart. Then we had this big engulfing bearish candle. And then price came down tried to go a little bit lower, found some support, bounced here. Now it looks like potentially it's rolling back over again. So I don't know if we're going to see a continuation here of the downtrend. And again, from just a standpoint of targeting back to the 4-hour chart, we've got this zone sitting down here. So we could continue to see price work down back towards this zone. And in fact, I'm getting a short alert signal here. That's what that was. It just popped up. I don't know if you guys can see that or heard that. I don't see it on the live stream picture, but I have an alert set on the chart right here. You can see obviously it's touching that area now. And so let's go ahead and just take a short right here. I'll show you guys this live, and we'll see how it goes. So we're going to just put a stop above here. So around 11:36, we'll take one contract. And we're going to sell that at market. It's a $262 risk, and we'll just take that and we'll let that go. Okay, so we'll see how that plays out. Again, we have an area down here. This is, if we just drill down a little bit, this is probably a valid area down here for this to target. But we'll see. Again, we had this run up liquidity sweep apparently, and then a very large engulfing bear candle. And so that to me tells me that there's still some decent selling pressure. Now it did sweep that area here and did put in a new low, but failed to close below this zone. So that is a little concerning. But I'm going to take this anyways, and we will keep an eye on that. You can see I'm in a loss here on soybean oil. I'd like to show you guys, wins and losses. So I'm going to close this one out right now. Okay. And I went long because it looked like we were going to turn the corner, but it looks like soybean oil is continuing in the same direction as the rest of the soy complex. And we just had a liquidity sweep, kind of just what I showed you on soybeans. All right, so I did close that out. If we can, this is not a great place to enter this short now because the area to enter would have been up here. But this is what I was talking about last night in terms of monitoring your higher time frame. So, I made the video last night using the VWAP session indicator and the 50 period moving average. You can see, we had this little break on the indicator where the VWAP session started moving up and the 50 period was flat, still pretty flat. We had this big bullish candle, but as it turns out, this is probably just a liquidity sweep. And to not just take what you see on these shorter time frames, which is pretty much what I did, because if we go to the higher time frame, back to the 4-hour here, although we still are technically in an uptrend, I had this zone drawn here. This is basically a 1-hour zone right here. Okay. If this doesn't hold, okay, you can see it found a lot of support here. Like, 1, 2, 3, 4 candles at this zone. If this zone doesn't hold and breaks lower, then, we will probably head further down towards this 4-hour zone. For you smart money traders, ICT, which I'm really not. But for those of you that want to point it out, this is probably an imbalanced candle, a fair value gap between these 3 candles. So we break lower, the midway point of this bullish engulfing candle would probably be a good target. But we'll see if that does continue down. I just took the short, as you saw in soybeans, so I'm not ready to take another one on here. But let's see how this one plays out. All right, whether we're going to get a continuation of this downtrend or whether this 15-minute move up is this is just a pullback and we'll pop higher again. But you can see there was no follow through. We had a couple of bullish candles and it rolled back right back over again. The VWAP is still showing positive momentum, but the 50 period simple moving average on these short time frames is pretty much flat right now. So, and again, this is that kind of 1-hour zone that I was pointing to that price is reacting off of. This is a lesser important zone, although it is there, and a potential fair value gap here that it's coming into to split this big bullish candle right here. But this area is of less importance to me than the 4-hour zone, which is sitting down here. In fact, you really, on the 4-hour chart, you really can't even see this zone at all. So it doesn't mean it won't hold and bounce from here, but it looked like certainly it reacted off of there. But whether this inevitably holds, we're going to see. So, all right. On to Canadian dollar. I'm holding a short on this right now, kind of a late entry, but it's in a very small profit, you can see. But basically, again, this is almost a lot like soybeans and soybean oil, where, it looked perhaps we were going to go higher. We swept some liquidity here and then rolled over and went back down. Now we've also taken out this previous low right here that led to this high, which makes this a little bit more bearish, to me. And so I think, again, targeting back near these lows, we could, go down and certainly make a new low on the higher time frame. We still are in a downtrend, right? Lower high, potential lower high. If this goes down, it makes a new low. All right, so that's Canadian dollar. Again, in this short, we'll see if it does anything. I took one contract. It's really not doing anything right now. But if we get a push lower, I'd love to see this push lower and go and obviously make new lows, and we'll see how that plays out. Soybean meal is pretty much following soybeans, obviously. Again, we've got a minor 1-hour zone here where price went down to and bounced off of. But yes, it did bounce off of it. Again, that's this zone right here. But it really, it's not like we got some real strong bullish momentum coming off this zone. Now, it could go into it a little deeper and then turn. I don't know. So we could see it roll over, come down in here, and then turn and go higher. So we could see it push down a little bit further, maybe sweep these lows, and then turn and go, higher back again, and resume what is still, although admittedly not as nice looking anymore. Well, I don't even know if you can really call this in an uptrend. We go out to the 6-hour, these higher time frames. We had this pullback that led to this high, and then we did break that structure. So this does not look as bullish as it did, a few days ago. So let's see if this zone holds or if we roll it. If this zone fails, then obviously our next target would be down here. I'm not in a trade on this right now. I did take the soybean trade, and so I might just stand with that, because as soybean goes, so does soy meal generally. So there's no point doubling my risk. If the other one works out, then this one would have worked out. And yes, that means, double the profit. But if you're wrong, then you're taking double the risk. And I'm just, for these assets, these are full contracts. I don't feel the need to take that kind of risk. So again, if we zoom out a little bit here, the daily chart, we still have really the major swing point is still sitting here. That's also the one I drew on the 4-hour. It's a little bit harder to see these minor swings in here. This is that 1-hour one right here. It's more in line with the overall trend. So that's why I consider it a minor area. This one's clearly a major area. But, we've had a lot of bearish price action lately. There's been a lot of volatility. This was last Friday. No, actually, this was a few weeks ago. Let's see. This was last Friday, bearish one. Then it did bounce back from that, and now you can see we've had 3 straight bearish days. Today is looking to be another bearish day. So the bears are definitely trying to push this thing back down again. We'll see. I'm still cautious about this being in a downtrend, because we haven't really proven that it's going to go down. Seasonally, we still should be in a more bullish posture in this market. And, again, we haven't proven that we're in any kind of reverse. This has been a very strong upturn, and I'm not ready to pick a bottom or anything on this, or a top. But you can see, again, on the 15-minute chart off this zone, pretty weak price action. So again, if unless we get a really big turn here, I do suspect that price will continue lower. And if this area doesn't hold, then we'll probably make a run towards this area down here. Okay. But again, I'm in the soybean short, so at this point I don't see any need to take soy meal short. Corn, very similar situation again. Zooming out here, we've really, on the daily chart, this 12-hour is close enough to the daily. Again, we have this support zone. Prices, found support in this area multiple times. And we've had this slow, steady walk down here. And again, it's sitting inside of this zone. So, and you can see it is reacting. Again, everybody sees this. It's not like I'm the only one who sees this. Everybody that's in the market, retail traders especially, are looking at this zone and saying, this is an area that the market has found support. So people are either trying to pick a bottom and buy inside of here, or if they're in sell positions, they're exiting in here. And so that's causing the market to find support. But you can see there's really no bullish momentum to push this thing higher. Here's the 1-hour chart. Just, it's not doing anything. So as I stated last night, there is a gap on the price chart. And in futures markets, you will see gaps often on, on low liquidity times. This was, you can see here, this was on this candle was the Sunday open. You can see there Sunday, October 26th. And so that's not uncommon. It's low volatility, or excuse me, low liquidity. So when the market reopened for the overnight session, there wasn't a lot of liquidity. There was probably some buy orders sitting there, and it gapped higher. So I wouldn't be surprised if this comes down, and I mentioned this on last night's video, come down here and fill in this gap here below there. And so if this area doesn't hold, that would be a good short-term target, would be to fill in this gap right here. And then after that, we'd have to see. But coming down and filling in that gap would also break this market structure, this support zone here. And so we'll have to see. I mean, we have, again, this was last Friday's gigantic bear candle. And price did try to recover for the next, few days after that. And it really, was not able to go higher. It rolled back over here. So this is pretty bearish, where we could be this is looking like to be a lower high right here. And I guess technically it is at that point, because we have taken out this low right here with this candle. It hasn't closed, and it could snap back, but it technically has taken out this low, which would then turn this into a lower high and a swing high for lower prices. And again, I think a reasonable target, if it does go lower, is to fill in this gap right here. So, all right, so that's corn. I'm not in it, but yeah, it's a little bit tempting just because of the way it looks right now. It's probably going to get caught in this chop here for a while. But if it does manage to break through here, a move down to fill in this gap would still be a pretty decent trade from where it is now, just as a short-term target. So, all right, but I'm not in it at the moment. If I get in it, I'll make sure I let you guys know. Okay, and lastly, again, not spending a lot of time on hogs. I continue to say that hogs is trading, again, much like, rice or whatever, sitting at this 4-hour zone here. Price is reacting off there. If we zoom out, here's the daily. There clearly are lower prices below here. But you can see this zone has been pretty important. Prices bounced from here twice. Previous, as support. Looking left, it also acted as previous resistance back here. So this whole area around $78, between about 77.70 and 78.6. So somewhere in this zone has been pretty reactive to price. Again, doesn't mean it won't smash right through here, because there are lower prices below here. So it's not like it would be unprecedented. But you can see, the market is making a lot of a lot of moves off of here. I really didn't want to get rid of that box. Just all those arrows. So let me just redraw this a little bit. Okay, that's close enough. So there we are, kind of sitting with this inside this zone right now. And it's not really making any progress. It's just trading inside the range. Again, this isn't a market you want to be wrong on because there's a lot of risk on a single contract here. So I'm not interested. If it does clear and break lower and not only sweep but close below this zone, then, obviously we've got lower prices to target. If this does end up holding and we start rotating higher, we need to see some, higher lows put in and breaking some structure. I thought maybe we're going to see that right here with this candle. So far we haven't. Where I thought maybe this area in here would be a higher low and we'd push higher, get some impulsive movement back. But, until we clear these highs in here and really start putting in some major, swings higher, I'm not really interested in this. And then ultimately, as I said, your higher time frame structures are the most important. So ultimately, for the uptrend to really be confirmed, we'd have to go up and take out this 4-hour zone to go higher. Now, you certainly could trade on shorter time frames, could trade this up towards this zone. But ultimately, if we're going to actually be in a reversal, we would have to see this area taken out and then turn and go higher and then target, the major swing highs up here. But right now, you can see clearly on the 4-hour chart, it's just resistance, resistance, resistance. Every time the price tries to go higher, the sellers are pushing it back down. And we are basically trading inside of this zone that's been a very carefully watched zone. And again, doesn't mean that it's not going to break right through here and go lower, but we have no confirmation either way. So I'm just, waiting this one out. All right. So again, I don't want to spend a lot of time on that. So I'm just taking a look again here before we end. Again, soybean meal, not really doing anything. Again, it's the thing is when you get into these zones, especially on, moderate to longer time frames. And again, this isn't a great zone because this is like a 1-hour zone. If we go to the 4-hour, you can still see this zone, but it's that's why I have it. And you can see prices reacting from it. And then we have this larger one down here. Whenever price gets into these zones, we are going to see price react off of there. It doesn't mean it's a reversal by any means. I mean, the momentum on this asset right now is down because we have broken key market structure on the 4-hour chart. We have broken this swing low right here, which led to this high. So, I think the momentum is down here, but, this market's been in an uptrend for a while. So, you got to be a little careful with trying to pick a top on it. But certainly this has been pretty bearish, especially since, again, it took out this low right here on this candle. Yesterday, actually, this was broken. But, just keep in mind, you've got a couple of layers sitting down here that, price would have to get through. Now, if we get through all of this, and, we manage to smash through this one, then I think you've got something for a major downtrend to start. But price is going to probably get hung up here. If it does get through here, it's going to get hung up again right in here. And then we'll have to see. So it's just a matter of whether you want to try to play these as sell trades within here and take the risk that price won't just turn and rally back up again. Or if you want to wait it out and just sit and watch it, which is perfectly legitimate strategy to watch this and have it come and break through these zones, and especially this one, and then watch it, trend lower. And in this case, I don't think there would be a lot to stop it. We have a little small gap right here, but but that's pretty far away. So, all right. So, but in the meantime, not really making a lot of progress, just kind of chopping around here. And like I said, are we going to see this where it comes into here and bounce, or are we going to? Let me just take these arrows off because it just gets in the way, and I don't want you to think that's what I'm predicting. I don't really, honestly, I don't predict. Even though it might sound like I'm not trying to predict the market. Uh, I go by what it's telling me, but there's certainly something just to look at price levels and zones and if nothing else, like I said, you're going to get reactions off major zones that you see on 1 hour, 4 hour charts and higher. That if you see an obvious swing area where price has consolidated or pulled back into and then had a bullish reaction out of previously, like we saw here, right? Price went up, chopped around, and then we had a bullish candle and price really took off. I mean, we had that here, but it broke it with this candle today. So this didn't end up really meaning anything. And now we've got this area down here. And you can see it's reacting off of this zone. Okay, so you just have to know as you get into these trades just to keep an eye on those zones, especially when we've been in an uptrend for so long. But as we get further and deeper into this, there's less chance it's going to actually turn. And some people say, well, just trade what you see here. It's in a downtrend, just trade it down until it tells you otherwise. And that's fine. All along here, that was all legitimate. Even this one was beautiful. That was all legitimate, right? Because we on the 15-minute chart, we've got the 50 period and the VWAP down. But now it's a little different because, right, we're coming into a zone. So now you got to be a little bit more careful and not just blindly jump into another short. Obviously, you have to make your own decisions about that, right? And understand that price could definitely react off of there and move back in the larger direction of the trend. All right. But anyways, I just figured I'd jump in live. This will be posted as a regular midday session video. And that's where we're at right now. It's been, we had some big reaction when the market opened, but since then things have been pretty quiet since the opening candle here. We had this push down, but since then things have really quieted down. So we haven't really had a lot of follow through. When we get past noontime and these grain markets, probably not a lot's going to happen because it's just, these markets are only open for a limited time. So usually you kind of, if it's going to move, it's going to move from the beginning and it's going to just keep going right into the end of the session. And we're not really seeing that. We're seeing a lot of quiet trading action now. So that might be all we get today. I don't know. Maybe we'll have a late push in one direction or the other, but I don't see that right now. So anyways, I'm going to leave it there, guys. Hope that was helpful. Questions, comments, leave them down below. Subscribe to the channel. And I will be back. I'll make a video tonight if anything becomes of these. But like I said, right now, things are a bit quiet after an initial volatile start to the session. All right. Talk to you soon, guys. Have a great day. Like the video on your way out.